And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 272 is titled Heather Hoolahan. Heather is a regular at the table, but is live in person with us tonight. She is defined by her commitment to service, family, and the PH, Penn Hills. We're excited for you to get to know Heather at the table this evening. So pull up a seat and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later on YouTube at Lunchtime in Rome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com, and while there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be fantastic if you gave us a 5-star review. Jay, what is this podcast all about?
At the table, we strive to love one another and help you to do the very same. Most weeks, we will have someone join us that you will get to know them and learn a little about yourself in the process. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. That's what we do. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome. Solid.
I didn't even see you hit the button on that. Did you?
I'm like a ninja, dude.
Wow.
Actually, I just thought of it, and it did it.
Well, he's got the nerve.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a tool for that.
He's 100% synced up with his computer now. No
I got that
keystrokes.
Neuro link.
That's what I said.
You
Seconds
and-
ago.
Neuralink.
You and Elon been talking.
I mean, we're buddies.
It's
Yeah.
the Pittsburgh
Hang out.
version. Neuro.
Yeah, Neuro.
That Neuralink.
Brian's back.
Brian is back. I want to hear from Brian.
I am back. Yeah, so been a hot start to the year.
Hot start.
Cold, freezing, frigid here in Pittsburgh, weather-wise. But I've already been out of. I almost said out of the country.
Basically.
As far as we all know, I have not been out of the
I kind of
country.
consider New York out of the country.
Yeah, Long Island is it's not, it's fine.
Yeah.
Long Island's still country.
You've
could
said
be,
that.
It actually could be its own state. Like it really should be its own
It should
state.
be. Yeah.
It should be. Yeah, I've already been out and back and very productive. I'm hitting the ground running. This is going to be a massive year, and I'm really excited about it. There's a lot of good things. You know, it really, last year and the year before was a lot of breaking up the soil, and I think this is really going to be the year where a lot of those seeds that start to sprout.
Some fruit.
Yeah, already some happening. I'm not going to be here on the pod next week. I'll be in Cincinnati working on some stuff, and yeah, overall it's been a really, really good beginning of the year to me, for me.
You go to New York, you go to Cat's Deli, then you go
I
to
went to Cat's
Cincinnati,
Deli, yeah.
you get some Skyline crap.
Yeah, what is that? The Skyline? What's the thing?
Skyline chili.
The Skyline chili. Yeah,
It's a very cinnamon-based chili on top of spaghetti.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'll try it out. Yeah, but I did go to so you mentioned Cat's Deli. That's a famous one in New York City, Lower Manhattan. It was in When Harry Met Sally and other movies, but the experience was fantastic. You walk in, they give you this ticket, kind of like a movie ticket almost, and then there's all these different stations within the deli, and it's a decent sized place. It's not like a small. It's a decent sized place. Kono told me that like we were driving up to it, and he saw a bunch of people. He's like, "Oh, if the line's around the corner, we're not going to go in," which made sense to me. But apparently, at times, weekends, evenings, it gets really, really busy. But yeah, we were able to go in. You walk in, you get this ticket, and you have all these different places where you can buy sandwiches or drinks or hot dogs, French fries, stuff like that. But each is a different spot where you go and stand in line. Then you order, and whoever gives you your order, they write down a number on the ticket. And I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder what that number means. I wonder if it means the cost of this particular thing. I really hope not. Well, I'm not paying for it, but I really hope not, because they were big numbers for each thing I was doing. And so we got our stuff, and then you have to go out a certain way. I mean, and there's like armed security guards at this point, at the door, bouncers almost. And yeah, and then ended up being a lot of money. And Kono tips well, but it was a lot of money for 3 pastrami sandwiches, a side of French fries, 6 drinks, and 3 hot dogs. It was almost $200 with the tip. So
New York.
dude, it's nuts. And so what else was We really did. I mean, when I go to New York, it's pretty much just to work. But yeah, it's been a good start to the year. Gearing up already for musical season. We were just talking, Heather and I were talking a little bit right before pod that, musical's already gearing up, and Abby's in for the junior high. Ethan's in for the senior high, his last year.
I already had somebody come up to me and talk to me about putting an ad in, and I was like, we do it every year. Go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I got it. We got to do that.
Just
But-
reuse the same thing we gave you last year.
Yeah,
just change the names.
Tell
Actually,
us
no,
how
last year you don't have to change the names.
Yeah, you don't
Bella
have to
wasn't
change
on it
anything.
last year.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
And that's about what I got.
That's exciting.
It is.
And it's cold and getting colder, and we got some snow coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I may, I got an ice bath for Christmas,
Yes.
because I've been doing cold showers in the morning, and my mom got me an ice bath, like a cold bath, and it's just a plastic rubber round thing with. It's very simple, but you sit down in it, and it's cold. It's very cold, and I can't use I was able to use it for 3 days, and then everything it just
It's one big block of ice.
It is a block of ice.
Oh, I was like, oh, it broke, but
No,
okay.
no.
But it's
So-
out. You have it outside.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the day I went to New York, which was last Sunday, it had already started to drop and stay below freezing, and I'd had I think it was January 2nd. It was 43 degrees. January 3rd, it was 39 degrees. January 4th, it was 32 degrees, and then on the 5th, when I was leaving town that morning, I took a flight, but I wanted to go do my ice bath before that. So the day before, I had to break the ice off the top. That morning, I had to break the ice, but I couldn't quite break it. And then all around the edges was it was all jagged. I was like, yeah, I'm not jumping in there. I don't want to be ready to go to New York and slice up my back and have it be this whole thing. So I didn't do it. And then
Your heart's racing.
Well-
You're bleeding a little extra.
dude, it's a crazy feeling. But I told Lex, she was like, look, I'm trying to save the water. I'm gonna go throw some hot boiling water in it. It didn't work. And then I thought, what if I just stick the sous vide in there? What if couldn't I just keep it at at 45 degrees with the sous vide
What's your temp?
of the water?
No, when you do it,
Oh, the sous vide?
No.
No.
For the ice bath.
Well, I
what-
said, it went from 43 to 39 to 32.
I think you're asking what's the ideal.
No, what's your temp that you do that you like to do it at right
I
now?
only did it at 3 days, and it went from 43 to 39 to 32. If I could, I would probably keep it around 40.
Did you do it at 32?
I did it at 32. That was the day before. That was the
Dude,
day
that's
before.
crazy.
I did it for 3 minutes at 32. But I got to give Lex so much credit. She did it the first. I had done it the one day previous. So when she did it, I'd done it. This would have been my second day. But it was her first time doing it, and I told her it was rough. Oh,
yeah.
I got it. It was a different kind of not panic in your brain, just more whoa, this is different. This is very, very different. But I'll tell you what, she got in, and I had done a minute and a half. And then the next day I had done it. It was 2.5 minutes, and I was like, "Whoa, that's great! I'm tough." So she did it. So the third morning that I had it up, she got in and did it.
She was in there for an hour.
She got right in, and she sat down and stayed there for 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
She's like, "Is this it?"
And she had to she told me, she was like, I had to tell myself, she was like, I was so blissed out. I had to remind myself that I needed to get out and move my arms and legs and stuff. But it's fascinating because both of our kids, she gave birth naturally. And I was out there, I was standing at the door watching her. I didn't want to interrupt her. So I was inside, but I was watching her, and you could see her go to someplace, right? As soon as she got in and settled in, she just went somewhere. And I was like, I wonder if she's going to the pregnancy place. And she did. She talked
Pregnancy
about
or baby delivery place?
baby delivery.
There's got to be a different. I mean,
baby
I'm
delivery.
not saying pregnancy is a walk in the park, but
The act of giving birth,
Right.
Place. And
Heather, be quiet. You don't know anything about this.
yeah, what do you know? But she went to that place and she was like, "Yeah, I could have stayed there for a while, but I thought I probably should get out."
There's a point of no more benefit,
Yeah,
right?
To what?
Well,
to do in the bath.
Yeah, once you get to a certain point, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
then
only
there-
doing damage to your organs at this point. You're
Yeah.
starting to preserve them.
So it becomes a time versus temperature thing. There's some people that they'll make sure they have it at 50 or 45, right? But
And
then
they-
they'll do it for 20 minutes. And I guess there are some different
Sliding
benefits.
scale.
But when you're doing, like, when you're 32 degrees, like, hyperthermia is a real thing.
Sure, yeah,
So-
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So anyways,
I think for sure you've got to become cold bath guy.
cold bath guy?
Yes, you tell everybody about it. And
Oh
then
yeah,
you
like
tell them-
I'm a vegan.
right, or like a standing desk guy.
Yeah. No, I'll make
CrossFit,
sure.
if you will.
I'll make sure
with
to
all due
do that.
respect.
Yeah.
Disc golf, maybe even. Which leads me to my transition in
Careful.
conversation to the fact that it is cold, but it is not going to be cold where I'm going because I'm going to Florida tomorrow.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And 7 full days. I leave tomorrow at 8 a.m. and I get home like mid-afternoon the following Thursday. And I'm going to the Disc Golf Ministry Conference, which is so much fun telling people. I think I met one really nice person today who was like, well, that's great. Everybody else is like,
Bless your heart.
Oh.
what,
Oh.
what is it, 4 of you there? Like, bunch of losers. But it's over 200 people from 25 plus states and 5 countries.
Wow.
And people said to me, like, what are you doing there? Like, are you helping them? Are you, setting up or what? I'm like, brah, I'm going to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to worship and not be in charge of it. I'm going to go to seminars and not lead them. I mean, did I vacuum seal 6 copies of my book? Sure, I did, to take with me because who knows what happens once you're down there. But so excited and like,
Wait, you vacuum sealed them?
yeah, because you figure if I just pack them in my luggage, they can get ruffled and bent and everything else. So I stacked 2 in 3 sets of 2, and it's hard on the board, man. It is perfect. Bottom of my suitcase.
Nice.
And let me just tell you, I'm not a big packer, but I packed the bottom half of our small suitcase. An ant would suffocate
Wow.
in there. It is so tight and rolled perfectly. That's not the point of the story. But I'm excited.
That's satisfying, though.
Like I take off 8 o'clock
packing a
tomorrow
car.
morning before the snow comes. Starts around 7-ish, but
They've already called Penn Hills off tomorrow.
Did they really?
Yes, they already did.
Oh, man.
Flexible instruction day.
But I mean, again, it's like Rachel's really worried that my trip's going to get ruined because
Yeah.
of the flight and everything else. But I'm like, honey, it's 1 to 3,
Yeah.
and it's supposed to snow heavy-ish from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That's a half inch of snow an hour if we get 4 inches. So anyhow, but it's crazy.
fine.
Like
It'll be fine.
I take off at 8, I land at 10:30, I pick up my electronic vehicle rental.
Really?
It was $80 cheaper.
Wow.
I became very environmental in that moment.
Yeah.
But
That'll be fun, though.
sure. And it's 25 minutes to the 4th rated disc golf course in Florida. And it's in Jacksonville. And it's like, wait, I'm going to be in Florida in 13 hours.
Yeah.
God willing.
Right.
But so that's cool. And the conference goes Friday to Monday.
What a great way to start the year for you. I'm like you've mentioned it a couple times, and I'm genuinely incredibly excited for you to go soak, to just sit, to not, be on as much as you're going to allow yourself.
I'll probably lead a seminar day 2, but go ahead.
Yeah. But no, what an amazing way to start the year.
And then there's a tournament Friday before the conference starts, and then a tournament Monday after the conference is over that you can enter, which I already have. Amateur 50 plus, thank you very much.
There you go.
Whittles down my competition to 7. But then I have nothing for the rest of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I procured a place to stay that is free. So
Nice.
it's a Christian camp that's nearby. And as long as I clean up after myself, it's free.
In the cabins, like you
Yeah,
have a cabin.
and I'm staying
Yeah.
there tomorrow night before the conference starts. So if it's a crap hole, I can just be like, "Oh, hey, I'm going out of town," or I don't have to
Right.
stay there after. But 'cause Chris was talking to me about, or somebody else came up to me, and Chris was standing there, and they asked me about next week or something, and I said, "Oh, that's when I'm going to be on my walkabout in Florida," because I don't have any plans. I mean, we're going to maybe go play the disc golf course that Paul Macbeth bought last year. It used to be called. I don't know, Throw Down the Mountain. Now it's called Olympus. It's like 2 hours from where we're staying, but it's wide open. The weather's supposed to be pretty good. Saturday, Sunday is like high of 70, but a good chance of rain. But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like 48, but not rain. But
48 for a high?
yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll take a 40-degree head start over what we have here.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
it's
better.
been really, I mean, this will be the longest Rachel and I have been apart since the Young Life days.
20 years?
Maybe 2006.
Wow.
And, it's so funny because, like, Mary Lynn, you all know Mary Lynn, and she's like, well, will Rachel need a meal or does she need company? And I'm like, you've met her, right? Like, she's going to be fine. And Tommy wants to borrow my meat grinder. And I said, just pop in. He goes, yeah, we'll just rattle the cage a little bit, maybe on a weeknight, She doesn't have like a pattern or a rhythm or anything, does
Around
she?
10 o'clock.
But it's really cute. Even tonight, like, she's starting to worry about, like, mostly me. What are you going to do for food? I'm like, honey, I don't know if you've met me, but I tend to plan things out. Yeah. And part, actually, I haven't really planned a ton out of my free time, but I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But then she's like, well, what if a pipe bursts? And I was like,
In your house here?
yeah.
There's nobody else coming to her rescue. Nobody.
But and we
You're all alone,
we
Rachel.
went over where the water shut off is, and I already have a heater on top of our wash tub in the basement because the only pipes we've ever had freeze are on that wall, and they've frozen maybe 3 times ever, and it takes me an hour using the hairdryer you're not supposed to use to loosen it up. So I actually have a plank across the washboard.
What are you supposed to use?
Magic
Plumber.
plumber at $300 an hour, $500 for an
And
emergency.
they come with a fancy hairdryer.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say because I grew up in our house.
You grew up in your house?
I did. Our pipes to our bathroom on the second floor were on our sunport side. They would freeze all the time. So my mom, because my dad was working out of town, my mom would literally take a blowtorch some mornings and take a blowtorch to the pipe to melt the ice.
you go.
I was like, that's what I'm saying. I was
Never
like,
burned down.
I was like, you guys used a hairdryer and my mom used
Used
a
a
blowtorch.
I think you take a car battery and touch those.
So I put a board across the wash tub and I have a portable heater on top of that right next to where they freeze. So they're not going to freeze. But it's just really cute and she's excited. And of course, she's already started to talk about projects
Oh, yeah.
she can work on. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm coming home to.
Yeah.
But, so that's my update.
I got a small one. We hit a little bit of a milestone. I always have to say, I don't even think of it. What? What?
Just hit the button.
Okay.
We'll
I
laugh
put what
later.
as the little note. A little bit of a milestone. We went to breakfast at David's Diner on
Look delightful.
Freeport Road in Springdale. It is delightful.
Dynamos.
Highly recommend. Pancakes the size of a snare drum head.
So I thought you were going to say Estonia.
Estonia.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
And
small country, but
and then we went bowling. It was just a good family day.
Oh,
And no longer do we use the ramp.
wow.
Yeah, it was a
job,
big deal.
Eric.
And thanks, man.
Yeah.
It was awkward when I had to ask the guy.
Yeah.
No, but Maggie is not using the ramp anymore, and she did great. It was so fun to watch her face, getting good scores and whatnot. It was really fun. And one game I bowled a 196.
okay.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's a big number.
it was pretty fun. Yeah, but it was just a good family day. Really fun.
Wow. Well, there's other milestones, including the fact that Groot from the Hooked on Jesus podcast, Lorianne Bethany, who I delivered books to this week and got to spend some time with her, Mary Lynn, Ashley, and Breaking 90, they are all sitting at the head of the table this and every week because they are paid subscribers to the podcast. Go to lunchtimeatrome.com and become a paid subscriber, and you too can sit at the head of the table and receive all the other perks that have not quite yet rolled out. And
T-shirts are coming.
I'm thinking actually of having a raffle, and we'll have different prizes, maybe a Chris Davidson original.
He paints great originals.
He does paint great originals. I don't know how his duplicates are,
Yeah.
but the originals are great
They're kind of phony.
in a Bob Ross fashion.
They really are.
But maybe signed copies of the book, maybe a gift card, something like that for everybody who becomes a paid subscriber will be into the raffle. We'll work on that.
T-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, Chris is working on them right now.
Yeah, that's why he's not here. So we are grateful for that, and we are so very grateful to have our esteemed, I don't even want to say guest, because she's with us every week.
Yeah.
She was once known as Trixie, because I was using her name in confidence. So if you really want to do a deep dive, you go back and you find the episode where we called her Trixie, and you're going to learn something about her she didn't want you to know. Do you even remember what it was?
I don't think I do.
I don't remember.
I don't think I do. I
have no clue.
I don't know. I know that Lenny was Malcolm.
Yes.
And I remember that night so clearly because he listened to the podcast after I did. And I'm sitting on the other side of the room. And Lenny, who is not exactly known to catch on quickly to certain things, God love him, but he just, he just doesn't. All of a sudden looks up and goes, wait, am I Malcolm?
Did he know that you were Trixie? No. He's like, because I don't know that Trixie chick. I just want to tell you right now.
No, but it all kind of came together in this cosmic moment where he realized that he was Malcolm and that I was Trixie and you were talking about it. He was like, I don't understand what's happening.
Poor Lenny.
I know.
The gentle giant.
He is. Oh my gosh. That guy is so solid.
You had a great quote earlier tonight. You said he was the best decision you ever made. Is that the way you?
Marrying him
Sure.
was the best decision. I mean, I was young.
How old?
I was 20. We got married. We dated in high school. We got married when I was 20 and he was 22. They said it wouldn't last. I think they were actually taking odds at our wedding. I'm not
Who
kidding.
they? In general, not specific.
Trixie and
A family member. Well,
family?
family members of his that
Okay.
weren't very sold on the idea of a
They
20
never
and
sit at the
22 year
table.
old.
You're clean. It's fine.
Exactly.
Wait, what year did he graduate?
He graduated in 92.
Oh, okay.
And so it was the year before me. And we met in high school and we dated in my senior year, got married, and this year will be 30 years. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, he's just, I mean, honest to God, he is just the salt of the earth. There is just nobody. He's every definition of like the perfect spouse. I mean, he is the soft place to fall. He is home. He never fails me.
Wow.
He's just incredible.
And you know what else he is? He is exactly who he is.
He is
There's not one false pretense.
none.
You know, he is exactly who he is, and he is blessed by having you.
Thank you.
One of the things I wanted to start with in general, because it's great having you here, and I wrote about it in the preview. You know, a lot of people know you, and a lot of people think they know you, but they don't know you. And so I'm excited for everybody to get to know you tonight. But I would start with, and I want you to pick from one of these two questions. One is, what sets you apart from others? Or what is your life motto? You know, I said in the preview tonight, we said you're committed to service, to your family / friends in Penn Hills. And that's not a motto, but so which of those areas do you want to go down first?
Well, I think they're kind of intertwined. So let's just go ahead with the life motto. You know, because I do think that in today's day and age, it kind of does set me apart. I believe very strongly that, but for the grace of God go I. That really is something that I feel, I say, I think a lot because, you know, when you are raising kids and when you are living life and when you are sometimes in the spotlight,
You have how many children?
5,
From the ages of,
28 to 12.
there you go.
Just the 5?
Just the well, you know, something that not a lot of people know about me, and I'm not even sure that
You have a
Jay
sixth?
knows about me. But I did have a late term miscarriage. I had a second trimester miscarriage.
Wow.
And that was in between Luke and Adriana?
No, it wasn't actually. It was actually between Timmy and Colleen,
So in between 3 and 4.
between 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yes.
Yes, 2 and 3.
A late-term miscarriage.
Well, they call it a late
Brutal.
term, but it really wasn't necessarily late term. It was second trimester. It was
Late enough.
17 weeks. But it was enough that, you know, it defined the way I thought about the acceptance of children. Because I was not incredibly happy that I was pregnant at that point, and that loss taught me how to be more receptive and more open to the idea of more children.
That's a brutal lesson.
And yeah, unfortunately it is. But sometimes
But for the grace of God go I.
right.
Because you could have not taken it as a lesson and allowed bitterness to grow.
Well, and you know what I mean, and I think that, you know, in that same wavelength, you know, that if you really believe that something could never happen to you or that you are insulated from something, you know, it will never like it has never happened before. So I think that that's like a big thing for me, is that I don't tend to think that I am invincible or that something can't touch me or my family.
With all due respect, there's no way you could think that, given what you've lived through.
Well,
I mean, we'll get to that, but I mean, you've had some life experiences. You've had a lot of once in a lifetime
I have.
tragedies, with all due respect.
I have. And, but I think that, along with but for the grace of God go I, the other motto that I tend to live by is err on the side of grace. If you don't know what to do, do nothing. And just give grace, because you don't have any idea. It sounds so cliched to say you don't know what the other person's facing, or you don't, but you don't. And, there were so many days that you have to put on a brave face and, conquer certain things, and you are literally falling apart inside. So if you are not sure how to respond, or you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Just give that person some grace.
And you've grown in that, if I may sound the least bit condescending.
Oh, I have. You're not wrong.
No, and I don't know how much, we want to,
You can ask anything you want.
No,
We can
I'm
talk
just
about
saying,
anything.
because you used to be a lot more combative, and you would stick up for yourself because nobody else will, whatever.
Right.
And your grace has abounded in recent years, and your discipline in that has been measurable, if not noticeable, or noticeable if not measurable.
Thank you.
And so that's neat to see you continuing on and growing in that. You grew up in a big family.
I did.
And give us that background.
Okay, so I grew up on Beulah Road. I am the oldest of 8 children. And my mom had several miscarriages also. Gosh. So there was me, and then there was my sister Colleen, who was 2 years younger than me. And then there were 8 years before the third was born. And then there were 6 in 10 years. So, yes. Wow. That was something. And, my mom worked at CMU, so she worked full time. My dad was a network specialist for Thrift Drug initially, and then Thrift Drug, and then for Eckerd, and eventually then for PNC Bank. But there were a lot of challenges growing up in that family and growing up in my family.
Not a huge house, by the way.
No, right on Beulah Road, Cape Cod.
Yeah.
With the dormers.
It's the
3-bedroom, 1.5 baths.
the classic Catholic.
Oh, absolutely.
We're all in this together household.
Yeah.
We sink or we swim. Yes.
Yeah, because I was one of 5 in a 3-bedroom, ranch in Penn Hills, and you were one of 8.
There's 18 years between my youngest brother and I. So,
And sorry if I missed it, but where are you in
the oldest.
Okay.
So it was me, and then there was Colleen 2 years later. And then 8 years after Colleen was Leslie, Maggie, Tommy, Kenny, Bridget, and Michael. And, I think about this a lot, and I've said it on Facebook, and so it's not a secret. But I used to think, gosh, I can't believe that my mother's having all of these kids. Like, God, enough, okay? Isn't this enough? Stop. But then my mom passed away when my youngest brother was 9. And, and I can remember thinking when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, she was 46. And I very vividly remember thinking, I wish she was pregnant. Gosh, I wish that was our biggest problem right now.
Yeah.
So, So, it was,
How long did she battle?
6 years.
Oh,
Yeah, and she was never in remission. She was always on treatment.
Wow.
It was hard.
starting when you were how old?
Well, let's see. I was 20.
I was going to say, how old were
I
you
was
when she passed?
21 when she was diagnosed, because I had just had Greg. And then I was 27 when she passed.
Wow.
And my dad, very unfortunately, just really did not want to raise all of these kids by himself. And so I stepped into a role, and
Did he check out completely?
not completely. Mostly, I would say he was still there for, for financial resources. He was still the legal guardian, but
Yeah.
How was he as a dad to you versus how was he as a dad after your mom passed?
oh my gosh. Well, first, to me, but okay.
Or you and Colleen?
Well, he was different to me and Colleen though, because Colleen was very much of a mama's girl. I was my dad's, but if I look back and I really think about it, so much of the relationship with my dad was very dependent on me being interested in what he wanted to be and what he wanted to do. Like, we had a very good relationship, but it was because I became his tag along. My dad played on 3 softball teams. I learned to enjoy that, and I would go with him. My dad, I was the oldest by a lot. And it was not until child number 5 that he had a boy, so I was also the helper around the house. I was the one who was hanging off the roof, holding Christmas lights and things like that. So as long as I joined in the mission, we had a great relationship. I know my dad loved me. My dad was not really good at showing it.
You weren't raised with a ton of affection. Tell me from your dad.
From my dad, no.
Right. What about your mom?
Oh, my mom was very affectionate, but my mom was very busy.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Hey-o.
she was having all these kids and she was still working.
Yeah.
I mean,
kids, affectionate.
Well, and I mean, she worked. She worked at CMU up until the day before she had Michael. I mean,
By that point, she delivered Michael herself on her break.
and then went back to work. And then she got sick. Michael was 2 when she got sick. Gosh. So I mean, my mom was amazing. I just think that there were a lot of things that my mom might have. I wish that she would have been more supportive of, because I don't feel like she was engaged enough.
In your life.
Particularly for me and Colleen.
Sure.
And then she couldn't be engaged in the other ones because she was sick.
Right. And that often is the case of the oldest anyhow.
Yes.
You add in the fact that you're the oldest of 8 spread out over 18 years or whatever it is. And now you throw in you were raised, again, by a dad that showed, good support, good, shall I say, provision.
Right.
And almost a conditional love. Like, you got the attention and everything else when it was on his terms.
Correct.
But you didn't inherently, it didn't come in your way as far as like whatever you were involved in. And you had a mom who's overwhelmed and then overwhelmed,
Yes.
with a sickness. And so it's one of those things where if we were going to sit here in facts, logic, and reason and sitting here at the table, I can say that. Someone could say to you, well, your mom did the best she could. She was busy. She was always having kids and everything else. And you're like, yeah, but I could have used a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, hey, your dad was your dad. Yeah, I know. But I could have used a little bit more.
Well, and I waver on that actually, okay? Because there's a lot of things that, when I was younger, I thought, gosh, my mom should have done that better. And now that I am that age and I'm tired, now I tend to give her more grace in those times than I did even 15 years ago, where I can't even imagine the level of overwhelm that she felt.
Overwhelmedness.
Yes, just everything.
Yeah.
I was so critical and I was so judgmental about what didn't get done around the house and what wasn't a priority and how I felt like I was fending for myself. And,
Because you were.
Well, and I was, okay, granted, but but at the same time, holy crap. I mean, I can't even imagine what that must have looked like for her. I mean, I have Lenny. She didn't have a Lenny.
Right.
And so I think that has allowed me to kind of just take a step back and say, she really did do the best that she can or that she could. And I think that because of the conversations that we were able to have, I was 27 when she passed, so I was old enough to ask her a very few questions because I still very much respected my mother and her privacy. But I was able to ask her a few things. And I think that when she knew better, she would have done better. And I think that she would have done certain things differently if she would have been given the chance.
Sure. Well, in the great words, or in the words of the great Amy Raymond and many others, two things can be true at once. You can give your mother more grace. You also still needed those things.
Right.
You know, that can keep you just because, oh, wow, she really was overwhelmed. Well, yeah, but I still could have used a little bit more along the way. You know, did God use it? Sure. Did he make you mature a whole lot faster than you ever would have wanted to? Sure. But it would have been nice, you know, to have a little bit more support, a little more everything. And it's true for all of us, but it's not binary. It's not, I should have had this. Oh, wait, my mom was overwhelmed. I'm bad for feeling like I should have had this. No, they're both true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of, but I mean, I think that it's kind of like the whole idea that you do things in spite of or because of. You know, there are a lot of things that I do in my parenting because of the way I was raised, certain traditions and certain things. Okay, but then there's a whole lot more that I do in spite of. You know, so I think that, to speak to your point, I think that that's absolutely true. But I think that I've learned those lessons, and it's taken me longer than I feel like maybe it should have. But I'm grateful that I'm still healthy enough at this stage to be able to put it into practicality.
So at 27, your mother passes,
Yes.
and your youngest brother at that point is,
9.
so then it goes 9, 11, 12, whatever,
Yes, up to 17.
with a dutiful and a providing, but not necessarily emotionally present father.
Not at all emotionally present.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And you are at this point in time the mother of
3.
3.
Yes.
And you step into the role of pseudo mom.
I do.
And you're already moved out.
Oh, yes.
Living your own
Oh,
life.
yes.
I was gonna
yes.
say because like, did you go to college?
No.
Okay, so you okay.
No. No. So, I mean, quite humorously, and Lenny is he's very privy to this joke, so I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know. But, I moved out. I got married to escape, and it just so happened to work out. That.
Yeah, because a lot of times that doesn't.
Yes, it doesn't.
Yep.
But I mean,
Most people don't escape the Lenny, though.
well, but that's true. Well, but that's very true. But I mean, I grew up in this Catholic household, okay, that was very dependent and interdependent on all money sources. So, I mean, I was working full time. I was providing to the support of the household.
Right.
And it would have been a betrayal almost if I would have just gone and gotten an apartment. Okay, I mean, how could I just abandon my family to go live on my own? So I got married, and that was acceptable.
Right.
A lot of enmeshment, I would say, in your house, right?
Yes.
Like your dad, you're taking on roles that you probably shouldn't had to take on, or at that age.
But wait, there's more.
Right.
But yeah, I'm agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
So you were saying, so you get married, you've got your kids,
Right.
but now your mom gets
My
sick.
mom gets sick. There's still these kids. My sister had passed away, so that's another
Now,
thing.
when did she
What?
pass?
She passed 18 months before
Which
my mom,
one?
Colleen. So the one that was next in age.
The one I graduated
Yes,
with.
that you graduated with. Yes. So she passed away.
Did she, sorry.
No, please.
Was she diagnosed after your mom?
She was.
Gosh.
She was. She lived 1 year to the day of diagnosis.
Wow.
Man, the phrase cancer does what cancer does.
It does. It does.
So very true.
Yes, my mom was diagnosed in October of 96. Colleen was diagnosed in 2000 and died in 2001. My mom's will to live. My mom she was a fighter. And so even though she still had 7 of us, when she lost Colleen, that died with her.
Well, in a way, it almost gave her permission to die.
Well, it did.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'll go take care of this one here.
Well, it did.
And you take care of the ones that are here.
Well, I mean, and I don't know that was necessarily
No,
a thought, but I do think that it just destroyed her,
Sure.
and so so now Colleen was gone, so now quite literally there was me and them, and so I I still don't know that I have processed that completely.
Well, the ultimate loss of the two most important women in your life
Yes.
in a 18-month period
Yes.
at the age of 26.
Yes.
That's wild. Like, that's crazy. It's tragic.
Well, and I mean, I think, but for as tragic as it was for me, my my brothers and sisters, I mean, I at least had the benefit of becoming a mom while my mom was still alive. That was taken from all of them. So I think that I really tried to emulate her in a lot of ways. I was successful in some and very not in others. I don't, teenagers are hard anyway.
Yep.
And, I think that I fell into this pattern of they wanted a mom when they wanted a mom. And they didn't when they didn't.
Right.
Well, sure. That's true of the moms.
Well, no, but
Right.
right,
And you're
right.
their
But
big
so
sister.
I had, I guess, what I considered, like all of the responsibility with none of the inherent respect.
Sure.
But it's interesting because you're like 2 on respect. So your need for respect is very low. I wonder if it was shaped in that time.
It's not negative, though.
It's not negative, but it's
Well, you know what, though? I would say, though, that I probably would have needed more respect then. If I would have taken that quiz all of those years ago, the need for respect would have been off the charts. I think it's through life experience and through just learning how to respond to things that I have decided, or that I have come to the conclusion that, there's no shame in the game. And I don't need to be respected to know that I should have had it.
And I have to say it. Back to you said, but boy, your heart breaks for your siblings. And it should. But it goes back to two things can be true at once.
It does, I know.
It does suck for them. Yeah, it sucked pretty bad for you as well. Like you said, you're filling out, permission slips and doing homework and all that kind of stuff. But, you're not my mom. And in a way, I feel like you may have, I wasn't there, gotten it even crap. Because who are you to be my mom? My mom passed away.
right. You're my big sister. I don't
Right.
have to listen.
Who are
have
you?
to
So
do it.
Stay in your lane.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and so what a double crap fest sandwich that you're doing what you got to do that was thrust upon you. You're certainly not getting the respect. You're not getting the appreciation, and you're getting actual anger. And if you're really in your right mind, your heart's broken for them in the process.
Well, my heart's broken for them and in a way by them.
Sure.
Because I couldn't understand why they couldn't understand.
Right.
How can you not see? But I think that what I learned to do was I learned to find my place. Okay, that I don't have to be your disciplinarian. You have a dad for that. So right, yes. But so
Air quotes.
so I became.
Good for Bud.
I mean, I even chaperoned a trip to Disney. I chaperoned a band trip to Disney.
For your younger sibling.
Yes. I became the football mom and the baseball mom, and I
For
was
your
the
younger siblings.
Yes, I was the one who was the booster.
Yeah.
I was the one that raised the money. But it wasn't a loss for me because that's where I got some of my friends. I mean, that's where, although they were significantly older than I was, because I was the young mom who didn't even have kids that were old enough to be in those sports yet, right? They took me in, and they took me under their wing. And
Who were some of those people?
Who were some of those people? Okay, well, let's see. There was Jody Wiley. Trying to think, there was, I'm not even sure that there were the Fultons.
Oh, the Fultons, good people.
Yeah, the Fultons.
That's crazy.
I'm having a hard time.
Nah, I mean, I threw that on you real quick.
I'm having a hard time thinking about it right now, but I can think of their kids' names.
Sure.
Before I can think of theirs.
No, but it's great they brought you in. I mean, talk about belonging and, the fact they could have talk behind your back, and who knows, I'm sure many people do.
Well, I'll tell you one person who really kind of mentored me through it, and you're not going to even, I know you're not going to expect this, was Dr. Rogel.
Not at all.
Yes.
And not because I think negatively of Dr. Rogel. For anybody and everybody who doesn't know who Dr. Rogel is, he's an orthopedic surgeon that has been around Penn Hills forever and is still there, wandering the sidelines.
He is.
Even though he's retired. And so for him to be this mentor to you, though he's a kind and gentle man.
Well, he recognized that I had stepped into a role that I wasn't prepared for and that I may not have belonged in. So he really just kind of, he kind of just brought me along, and he encouraged me, and he acknowledged me, and he saw me. Mm-hmm. He saw me.
And he knew what you were going through.
He did.
Because he knew the family. The boys.
Well, they had injuries, and in fact, Kenny had broken his ankle right before my mom died. So he had done the surgery on him, and he wanted to be able to serve Mass for my mother's funeral, and went in, and they took off the cast and put him in a walking boot. Wow. And after my mom's funeral, we went back and had it recasted.
Jeez.
Wow.
So, the stories are, endless, but that's why I've stayed in Penn Hills. I know that that's not the question right now, but,
I don't even know
whole,
what the question was right now.
the whole idea of being like this forever Penn Hills Indian, it's because you just become ingrained. Mm-hmm. And the people step in when you least expect them to. And oftentimes they care more than the people that you thought should.
I think, I was thinking about this last night. I don't know when we met. I have no idea when we met.
I don't know, Jay.
Because I was thinking you were certainly involved during the Trey Days, and certainly remember you coming to the funeral and whatnot and sharing with me some pretty heartfelt things. But it's was it called? It wasn't Colleen. That was after that.
Oh yeah, it was way after that. No, we met a couple of years before the Trey Days. But to be honest, I think that that's the great thing about Penn Hills. It's the largest small town that you'll ever come from. Okay, and so everyone knows, at least someone who knows everyone, mm-hmm. And so you meet, and you know them, and you might not know where or from where, and you might not know how. But the connection is made, and then somewhere down the line, it's fostered. Mm-hmm.
So you said to me back then, and I want to be careful in how we say this, but that the story of Trey impacted you. This sounds like a real bombshell. Impacted you greatly, compared to everybody else who was like, whatever, people get sick, win some, lose some. But do you want to tap into that at all as far as the impact it had on you? Because I want to be respectful for everything about that. As far as
you mean as far as what was happening in my life at that point?
And changing your mindset on some things.
Okay. Well, I could relate I could relate on a very elementary level.
And I'm talking more lower than older children.
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
My children.
Yes.
Okay. The first way it affected me, obviously, was I felt this immense sadness for Joe and Bella because I had lost a sibling.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a relationship that you just...
We all went,
Well, that's just a relationship that you just,
Sure.
That is hard.
Yeah.
That's a hard pill when you lose the person that is, that you're equal. But at that time, there were a lot of things that were happening in our family, and they happen in every family. There was a lot of discord. And, when your children become adults and they still live at home, there's this fine line that you walk that you are absolutely not prepared for. There's lots of books on what to expect when you're expecting and how to raise babies and what to do about toddlers and even about the teenage years. Nobody teaches you how to parent an adult. And let's face it, they still need parented, particularly at 18 when they are a legal adult and everybody's telling them that they're an adult. But they need some guidance and they need assistance and they still need to be parented. And we faced a lot of challenges in those days that were heartbreaking. And just when I thought that I had hit my absolute lowest point in that battle, Trey died. And the perspective was just immediate. And the amount, I'm going to call it guilt because you just, there's no other, I'm sure that there's 1,000 other words, but I can't think of it right now, think of one right now. But the amount of guilt that you inflict on yourself for, gosh, at least that's not me. And then and then the guilt that you feel because you felt that way. And I mean, it's just all encompassing. But in going through that, it provided this clarity that I don't think could have been provided any other way. And I think that everybody looks for the meaning behind tragedy, and I felt like the meaning was provided for me pretty quickly, and I wasn't sure how to handle that.
Yeah.
Without making it about me.
Sure.
Well, but your life is about you.
Well,
I'm saying, that leads to this. Great transition. Thank you, Heather. I said many times already, many people know who Heather Hoolihan is. Many people think they know who Heather Hoolihan is. What do they have wrong? What are the misconceptions? Because, full disclosure for everybody who doesn't know Heather at all, Heather's a bit of a lightning rod. There are people who will go to war with Heather, and there are people who will go out of their way to stab her in the back. Part of that is because she was a member of a political party in Penn Hills, that there are 7 of us. And so therefore,
Just running things.
therefore, you're going to get squat.
The Green Party.
Yeah. And 4 of them are very territorial about that party.
Yes.
And so therefore, there's that. And you've been in the public light.
I have.
But there are misconceptions. And I would like to know what you think they are. And I'll tell you what we think they are.
Okay. The first one is that I'm tough. I think that's a misconception. I'm strong when I need to be, but I'm not. But I'm not tough. And
That's such a great line.
Yeah. That's a
I'm
t-shirt.
strong,
When I need to be.
yes,
but I'm not tough.
I'm not tough.
Yeah. That is a good shirt.
And
We'll give you credit when Chris comes out with it.
Little dash. Heather Hoolihan. Trixie.
yes, please.
That's such a
Malcolm's wife.
Malcolm's wife.
that's such a vulnerable statement.
I think that's the first thing that comes to mind is I think that people think that I am tough.
Well, what's interesting is one of your highest needs is encouragement,
Okay, right.
and you're strong. You don't want somebody's support, but you're not tough, and you could use some encouragement at times.
That's a good analogy. Not an analogy, a good application.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think that, but I think that encouragement is also different from validation.
Oh yeah,
It's entirely different.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
but I don't know that you realize that until you, attend the school of, Jay Mitlow's emotional needs.
Lunchtime in the room, thank you. Until you sit at the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, until
Well, to you, what's the difference between encouragement and validation?
that encouragement is, just the pure act of, I got you. You can do this. You can handle this. What do you need for me to do to support you
Verbally.
in this journey? And validation is, oh, you're great. You're fine. You're good. Without any of the sincerity, maybe. I think that, which leads me to the other thing the other misconception.
Yeah, you can go on. We don't have to nerd out on.
Well, the other misconception is that I'm confrontational, because I hate conflict. I don't, and so I don't seek it out.
Sure.
But I do respond. And I don't necessarily respond only when it's directed to me, which is why I think that I can be viewed as combative, because I feel like I'm very protective. So I think that I respond to what I see around me too. And so, I'm not the one that's seeking it out. I'm not the one that's looking for it.
Well, from a very early age, you were forced to find justice and fight for those not only
And provide for those.
those, and then you developed your own very full family. So all along, you have a large group of people that you're always looking out for, and so I think that's probably influenced a lot of that, to the much larger community.
But also, hey, I didn't ask for this, but I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I'm not going to run from it.
I didn't ask to be the mother to my siblings,
but I'm not going to run from
but
it.
I'm not going to run from it. I didn't ask for this conflict, but I'm not going to run from it.
Right.
Which goes to, I'm strong, but I'm not tough. Oh, I'll answer the bell. I'd rather not.
Well, and you know what? But I mean, but I think it goes further than that, because I won't ring the bell. Okay, I'm not the one.
No.
I'm not. I don't go looking for
You've
it.
never picked a fight.
Right. Well, you know what?
That I know of.
No, I mean, I don't, and I don't want to. I mean, I think that when you are informed, and that when you're conscientious and you're detail oriented and you pay attention, that is seen as confrontational and combative, because just the mere idea that you have the audacity to question
Certain people.
anything, organizations,
Sure.
whatever. Okay, just the thought that you could somehow know more than I, better than I, whatever, is just seen as
An attack.
it's seen as an attack, but it's also seen as a weakness. Like it's not seen as information seeking. It truly is seen as, you've been spoon-fed information and now you're coming for me. And that's not what, and most of the time, I mean, I've never been spoon-fed anything, but
Big fork family, the earth is.
But I mean, I would say 99.9% of the time, something was missing in what it was that you were presenting, and I'm just simply trying to clarify it.
Right.
And so that is not seen. That's not taken that way.
I would add to your list, and it's ironic given your relational needs score, which each and every one of you can and should take at lunchtimeinrome.com. Click on relational needs questionnaire, because your one of your lowest, it's in the middle, but it's one of your lowest emotional needs is attention. And I would think people would think you have a high need of attention. But the reality is, because you're trying to, affection is one of your highest, which that goes back to your childhood entirely, because you didn't get it, and you went the opposite road of Rachel. She's like, I'm good then for the rest of life. Whereas you're like, no, I'd like it. But the encouragement and security, you want to make sure everything's okay. You've been thrust into making sure everybody's
security would
okay.
be high.
Right. It has to be high. So I want to make sure this is okay. So I have to ask this question. Oh, there goes Heather, putting herself in the middle of it again. And you're like, I would rather be invisible.
Well, and I've often said that, because I've often said that if I could just give people questions to ask at meetings, in person, whatever, if I could give them questions to ask and those questions would be answered, and then they would know the follow-up question to it, I would be more than happy to just sit in the back and listen.
Take notes.
Yes, and just listen. I mean, I don't want to be the one that's up there asking. And I mean, and in fact, I haven't gone, because it's less painful to draw a circle on that wall that says bang head here and do it than it is to go to some of these meetings now. But I mean, I don't want, I would love to live in relative obscurity. I'm not going to be able to do that as long as I'm in Penn Hills. But quite frankly, I don't want to leave Penn Hills if that would be the trade-off.
Right.
My family's here. My siblings are mostly still here. Their children are here.
And why should you?
Right. Well, and their children are here. And, Colleen, my daughter.
Named after?
Named after my sister. Yes, she was born the year after my sister passed. And she's named perfectly, by the way.
Oh,
But Colleen, coined the term Aunt Nana for my siblings' kids. And somehow she thought that was going to be offensive. I love it. I'm like, yes, I get to be in this role. I mean, I'm not a grandmother yet, but I get to be in this role because they all live so close.
Yeah.
You know, this is where I guess I need to say, and not here, but just in my own head, thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you. All those years that I spent wishing that you weren't doing this, gosh, I'd be alone. I would have this family twig.
Yeah.
I would just be alone. My mom died, my dad died, the sister who was closest in age to me died.
Right.
I'd be alone. And gosh, that would be worse than anything that I faced.
So, as we hit the 1 hour mark and have hit
Wow.
some pretty heavy
Yeah.
topics, by the way, also, your very lowest emotional need is appreciation, which makes all the sense in the world and almost could be a misconception because that goes along with she's just doing it.
I was
for
gonna
whatever.
say, I think people that don't know you might be surprised by that,
But
which is pretty cool.
Me knowing you as I do,
Yeah.
like, don't thank me. Just get out of my way. And let me do it.
Well, yes, please don't. Oh gosh. Well, you know what I mean. And again, I wish that I was independently wealthy, so
that
that
would
I
be
could
nice.
just so that I could go and be philanthropic without having anybody know a single thing of what I'm doing. I want to be able to move in silence. I just
Yeah.
can't afford to yet.
And that's a great line.
It's another T-shirt.
And it's also, but it's also, I'll bet, one of the reasons why, because you're dependent. God doesn't want you to be an island. He has put you as an integral member of this community and certainly your families to do that. And so you have to depend on others, which is the way he's built us. I want to take this with the last question in a completely different direction, and we can take off our serious faces. But when we get our 1 millionth paid subscriber sitting at the head of the table, when a guest comes, we're giving them a 1 week all expense paid trip for two anywhere in the world. And we need to know, where are you going and who are you taking? I think the who you're taking is obvious. Clearly it's Mary Lynn. Go on.
Obviously, it's you, Jay. Okay, where am I going? I think you know what? I think I would love to just take a road trip across the United States.
Now you doing like an RV? Or we staying in hotels?
Oh no, I don't RV. Oh my gosh, no.
It could be a nice one.
Like Tom Cruise
Like a
RV.
tour bus.
Okay,
Yeah,
but,
like
With
a
all
tour
the things that go out and it
I
becomes
know.
like three
I-
times the size.
Staying in posh hotels in every city you go
I
to.
get car sick, so no, that wouldn't work.
No.
No, I would love to just be able to map out a plan. I mean, I feel like because I've never really left Penn Hills. I mean, we've been on vacation and we've gone certain places, but I've lived here my whole life. I stayed here. I am probably going to die here. So I would really I don't know that I need to see anything.
Like you're not going to go do all the national parks.
Well, I don't feel like I want to be like the typical tourist, but I would love to go and just see the beauty.
Yeah.
Like I would just love to experience.
Like you don't need to go to Italy or France or whatever.
No, I don't think I do.
But there's so much here that you haven't seen yet.
Well, because seriously, I look at those quizzes on Facebook, like, where haven't you been? Practically all of them, and so I think that I would just love to go and see like the beauty. And I'm a big history fan. I love history.
I've learned something today.
I absolutely love history. And so I would love to go to the lesser known places. I would love, I could talk for hours about like the foundation that our country was built on and, being doomed to repeat itself, et cetera. But I would love to go to those places and just really kind of absorb myself in.
Have you been to Gettysburg?
Oh, I've been to Gettysburg.
Okay.
That's in Pennsylvania.
I know it's in Pennsylvania. I'm just saying, like, if you haven't been, it's close.
Have you seen the Super Snake Park in Columbus?
I have.
You know what I'm talking about?
I was there.
No,
Well,
I'm saying
and-
that for her.
Yeah,
Well,
have
I
you
have
seen the
not. I
Super-
have not. And but I've been to Ohio, so that's good.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, I would definitely take Lenny, and not so much because now Lenny has been a lot more places than I have. His family traveled extensively, so by car, so they he's even been to Alaska.
Wow.
Wow. By
Right?
car?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
No, he went on an Alaskan cruise. But yeah, so I mean, he's been a lot more places, but to just be able to experience that with him, I would love to be stuck literally in the middle of nowhere with him.
Yeah.
I
In a
really
small
would.
town, in
Yes.
the middle of nowhere.
Yes. Well, in a
And
po-
maybe maybe Lincoln's birthplace is somewhere around there or something like that.
well, in a posh hotel.
Yeah, in a posh
okay?
hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
listen,
Air conditioning.
I'm willing to leave the hotel to go to a quaint little diner. Okay, but I don't want to be in like a one-room schoolhouse
Flimsy
converted.
motel, or no motel,
Yeah, no.
door to the outside.
I am way beyond the red roof days. Okay, I am red roof in days. That is, I used
Route
to.
66 motel.
I used to think that room service was, not having room service was the idea of roughing it. My bar was way too low. I definitely need, I want to stay like at the plaza.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm very grateful for you and your first visit here at the table.
Yeah.
Man, you were the one, and I talk about you often, who said, Jay, you've never had a Catholic mother of 5 on your podcast. But everyone you have on the podcast, I've learned something about myself.
Yes.
Of course, now that statement is now out because I have had a Catholic mother of 5 on the podcast. But I think this time that we had tonight will certainly help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. It's not just dealing with loss, but having different things thrust upon you that you did not ask for, dealing with unmet needs, dealing with offering grace, but while still sticking up for yourself. So I'm very grateful for you being here tonight.
Well, I could not be more
Yeah,
honored.
likewise. And that's going to be it for episode 272. Join us next week for episode 273. Between now and then, please give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks, says Eric.
Bye. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Bye.